Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me. One morning, Claude got up very early to make the Raggy Dolls a surprise breakfast. He changed his beret for a chef's hat, put on an apron, and set off for the factory canteen. He was going to make a continental breakfast. Croissants and coffee, as we have it in France, he thought. He mixed the pastry and rolled and rolled and rolled it into a long strip. It was a complicated recipe. But at last, the croissants were safely in the oven. Then Claude poured some coffee beans into the grinder. Soon the works canteen was filled with a delicious smell of baking and freshly ground coffee. "Wake up! Wake up!" shouted Claude. He banged a frying pan with a spoon to make it sound like a gong. "Oh, whatever's that?" "The factory's on fire." "Keep calm, everybody!" "Oh dear, I'm all of a tremble." Dotty was the first to peer over the top of the reject bin. "It's only Claude," she said crossly. "Really, Claude, you might have more consideration." "Can I smell baking?" sniffed Sadsack. "You most certainly can," said Claude. "And can I smell coffee?" "But of course you can," said Claude again. "Mesdames, messieurs, breakfast is served." The Raggy Dolls made their way into the canteen. Claude had laid the table in the French way. There was a dish of butterballs and a bowl of black cherry jam and napkins. There was even a red check tablecloth. "Voilà, exactement as we have it in France," he explained. "I have made a continental breakfast. Bon appetit." "That means eat up," said Dotty. "What a super surprise, Claude." "Pity it isn't bacon and eggs and fried bread," thought Sadsack. "That's what I call breakfast." But by the time he'd eaten his 6th croissant and washed it down with a 7th cup of coffee, he decided French breakfasts were just as good as English ones. But he had to leave a pile of croissants for later because he was full to bursting. Just then, the factory hooter started up. People would be arriving for work any minute. Luckily, there wasn't much to clear away. But before they could leave the canteen, the Raggy Dolls heard voices. There was just time to hide before Mr. Grimes came in with Florrie Fosdyke, the canteen lady. Florrie was kind, but very forgetful. One morning, she buttered the teapot and poured milk on the toast. "You must keep your wits about you today, Flo," said Mr. Grimes. "There's a competition for all the factories on the trading estate. Each canteen has to make a cake, and the best cake wins a prize. And I want Grimes's Toy Factory to win that first prize tomorrow, Flo."
"You won't be disappointed, sir,"
said Florrie Fosdyke. She flicked through the pages of her recipe book. There was a large picture of a sponge cake with layers of raspberry jam filling, topped with marshmallow and chocolate sauce. Mr. Grimes agreed that that was the kind of cake most likely to win. The Raggy Dolls watched as Florrie set out everything she needed on the table. A mixing bowl, scales to weigh things, and a spoon for stirring. The sponge cake recipe said 1 cup of flour, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, half a packet of margarine, 2 large eggs, and a little water. For the filling and topping, it said half a jar of raspberry jam, 1 bag of mixed marshmallows, pink and white, and a slab of melted cooking chocolate. "Oh," groaned Sad Sack. "If only I hadn't eaten so much breakfast." Claude looked on with interest as Florrie set to work.
Butter cake, baker's man. Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Break it and nick it and mark it with G. And there will be plenty for Grimesy and me.
Florrie sang as she worked and forgot to look at the recipe book.
She's putting the shells in with the eggs,
Crackled Hi-Fi.
That's never 1 cup of flour,
Whispered Lucy. More like a bucketful, agreed Back to Front.
Now she's adding salt instead of sugar,
Princess gasped.
Sacre bleu! This is an outrage, spluttered Claude.
Florrie poured the awful mixture into 2 sandwich tins and put them in the oven, which she turned up much too high. Then she set off with her trolley to see if anyone in the factory wanted a quick cup of tea. By the time she came back, the cake was beginning to burn.
Funny, what's that smell?
Thought Florrie Fosdyke. She'd forgotten all about baking a cake for the factory competition. She looked at the oven. Smoke was curling out. Then she remembered.
Oh, heck, yes. Well, never mind. I'll tell Mr. Grimes it's a chocolate cake. He'll never know the difference.
When the cake was cool, Florrie dolloped the raspberry jam between the layers and covered the top with melted chocolate and marshmallows. It didn't look anything like the picture in the recipe book.
Not bad. It's quite eye-catching,
she thought. When Florrie had gone home, the Raggy dolls went to see what the cake looked like. Perhaps it wasn't as bad as they thought, but it was.
"I don't think Grimes's toy factory has much chance of winning that competition tomorrow, do you?"
said Sad Sack. "Yeah, about as much chance as an egg in a concrete mixer," chuckled Back to Front.
It's no laughing matter, said Dotty. The honour of the factory is at stake.
Claude was disgusted. He sat with his head in his hands, muttering in French. "Quel dommage! Juste ciel! Zut alors!" Then suddenly he jumped up.
I have it, he cried. I, Claude the chef, will bake another cake to replace that, how you say, thing.
"What a spiffing idea," said Dotty.
Oh, yes, agreed Princess. Claude is ever such a good cook.
"Action stations!" cried Back to Front. "Raggy dolls to the rescue!" There was plenty of flour, chocolate, sugar, and marshmallows left in the larder, but no eggs or raspberry jam.
We can use what's left of the cherry instead of raspberry jam, said Princess. It was absolutely delicious at breakfast. Good thinking, agreed Dotty. But what about the eggs?
Lucy went to see if the hens had laid anything lately. This time, everything worked. There was even some chocolate sauce and marshmallows left over. It was a splendid cake.
Super! Well done, chaps, said Dotty. Mr. Grimes should be ever so pleased, said Lucy.
And he certainly was, because next day, Claude's cake won first prize. Florrie Fosdyke didn't know how it came to have black cherry jam in it instead of raspberry jam, but she put it down to forgetfulness. Sad Sack hadn't forgotten the leftovers. Claude lent him his chef's cap and apron, and for breakfast next day, Sad Sack invented a new recipe.
leftover croissants with leftover marshmallows and chocolate sauce.
It's called the Raggy Dolls Special,
said Sad Sack, licking the spoon.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all fun,